All right, fashion dolls, and we are back. We are back with our second interview for today. Our next special guest is from West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground. Okay. Let me send this to him. Ladies and gentlemen, our very special guest is Ronnel Parham. He is an actor, and I'm super excited. He's going to be also talking about his production company as well, too. Welcome back. We just got through with our interview with Milo John III, who is a bodybuilder, stuntman, actor, and model. And that was such a great interview. He dropped so many gems. I know we're back so suddenly, but our very special guest is a sexy West Philadelphia native, and he is here with me right now, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me and welcoming our very special guest, Ronnel Parham. Oh, are you on your laptop, Ronnel, or are you on your phone? Because if you're on your laptop, it's not going to let you join. And make sure you update as well, too. We're going to give it a minute so that we can add him. But in the meantime, I want you guys to make sure that you guys are all following and checking out the previous interview, which is up right now. They're also going to be up on our Style by Stevie YouTube channel. And you guys can see clips in the Style by Stevie page, which is new and improved. We have a new look, you guys. And speaking of new looks, this backdrop that you see behind me, I'm not going to give away too much, but we got some good things coming. So you guys just have to stay tuned. On Bigo, we had, oh my God. Man, oh man, oh man. 1,500 views and visitors on Bigo. Thank you all so much for following me over there on the Bigo app on my fashion dolls. And I see some of my Bigo family came in during the interview with Milo as well. Let me see if Ronnel is ready so that I can add him. Nope, you have to update, Ronnel, and then come back. Are you on your phone or are you on your laptop? We're going to give it a minute before we add Ronnel. I can't see the comments, you guys. Someone type something so that I can see the comments, and we can definitely keep this going along. I hope you guys all are doing awesome this Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thankful Thursday. Again, we have actor and model Chris Wright coming on Style by Stevie tomorrow. So make sure you guys tune in for that. Nope, still not ready yet. We're going to give it a minute for Ronnel to update and then come back. All right, he's here. Let's get into it. Fashion Dog Parham Jr. He's here. Let's get into it.
Hey,
Junior. Welcome, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
It is such a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
It's such a pleasure to have you here. So let's get into it. So before we get into this interview, how has the New Year's been for you thus far? Your holidays, everything, and all of that.
The new year's been good. It's been exciting so far. A lot of things coming in. Really blessed to kind of see 2022. Was really happy to celebrate the new year. All my siblings, all my family members are doing well. So, very excited about 2022.
Yes, and let's get right into this interview. So you grew up in West Philadelphia, and y'all know the rest if you watched The Fresh
Yeah.
Prince. And you grew up with
Yeah.
4 siblings. So tell us, what was it like for you growing up?
Wow. I grew up in West Philly, but I was privileged enough to go to school in the suburbs. So, in a way, I was kind of living like a double life, anywhere from first grade really to like 12th grade. So I would go to school with kids that were living very differently than how we were, and they were raised differently. So, but then, after school, um, I would just come back to a different environment. So I really feel like those experiences really kind of ignited like this like different cultural understanding of mine. And in a way, I think it really ignited like my passion for telling stories, because I have so many stories. I kind of was like a double agent. I was living one way during the day and living another way in the evening and at nighttime. But I had a good upbringing. I had a very strong upbringing from very two strong-minded parents that always put our education first. So all of my siblings are just, very much the same way. Like we were really focused on going to school, and that was what my mom kind of beat into our heads day after day after day. So that's really what we grew up doing. I didn't even start like acting or doing anything until I was like almost 21 years old.
Oh. So, where did you pick up the acting bug from? Like, who were some of your favorite actors growing up that made you want to get into acting?
Yeah, it's funny. I have a really cool story about that. Up until yeah, so I was like 20 years old, like almost 21, and I did my freshman year at a school, and then I didn't want to go back to that school, so I tried to transfer and get into another school that fall semester. And my application was late, and I was kind of stuck for a second. So I had that semester to kind of go back home and just, I guess work, just kind of figure out what I wanted to do with my life. So I had always planned to go back to school, but I just kind of figured that was like a really good time for me because at the previous school I was like on this scholarship to be an elementary school teacher, and I had a lot of good opportunities in that lane, but it wasn't really like feeding my passion. It wasn't. I didn't see myself doing that long term. So um, in the break of that semester, I went down to a talent agency, and I've done some modeling in my teenage years, and I've done some things like that, but I never thought about getting in front of the camera. Like I just never. I played the drums growing up, so I guess that's one artistic side of me. I played the drums for like 11 years of my life, but the camera stuff, filmmaking, acting, theater, never once thought about it. But I went down to this talent agent, and she told me, you should think about doing commercials. You should kind of think about more than just modeling. And up until that point, I had never given it a thought. So she goes, my friend is teaching a class, a 6 week commercial class down at Temple University. It wasn't like with Temple, it was just like in one of their rooms. But you should go down there and check it out. So I'm like, all right, I don't have anything else to do. Like, I didn't have school or anything. I didn't have any homework or classes to do. I was just kind of working. So I went down there, by like the third week of me like getting into this camera stuff and seeing myself on camera and really learning it, and then doing more research, seeing like people like myself all around me doing this. They've been doing it since they were kids. Again, it just never clicked to me. But after by like that third week, I knew that this is what I wanted to do with my life.
Tony says that's how it works sometimes. Tony's also an actor as well too, so definitely
Yeah, that's
has
great.
learned. And you attended Westchester University and PA, and you earned a bachelor's in liberal arts. So tell us a little bit about that. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so I went to Westchester for my undergrad. So my first school that I went to was actually Cheney University. So I went to Cheney University for my freshman year. I have two brothers and a sister who graduated from Cheney. So, but then yeah, I transferred to Westchester, and this was so that semester off that I had, I just I was getting into commercials, whatever. So I was just this was just like opening my mind up to a whole new world that had been right there like my whole life, but I just never thought about doing it. So after I just gained some confidence, I went through the commercial class. I decided to, try my luck and like go up to New York, get some managers, try and get some agents, stuff like that. So I went to Westchester and I minored in theater. So I minored in theater and I minored in criminal justice. And I actually have a master's degree in criminology from Indiana University of Pennsylvania. So I got that back in 2017. But my undergrad years at Westchester were great. I was, like most college kids, I was really finding myself. I just found this new thing, this new passion in my life, acting. And at the time, I was just I was studying theater, so I really wasn't even thinking too much. Like commercials were good. I mean, I soon after like I got my first manager. Soon like pretty soon after I finished this commercial class, like I got my first manager, then she started like sending me to New York, and I started meeting agents, and then she started submitting me on commercials. I started auditioning for commercials. Then I booked my first national commercial, which was a Toyota commercial with Jennifer Lopez. And this was like literally within 3 4 months of me like beginning acting. So that gave me the confidence to be like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like I think I can really do this. So then I went to Westchester, got more into the theater stuff, went up to New York, was auditioning in New York back and forth. But my time at Westchester was great. I still have some good buddies from those years. So it was a great time.
And now you are, fast forward, you are an award winning actor and director, and you've done things on Broadway as well too. We know Broadway is a completely different experience from doing a actual live television show, taping a live television show. So what experiences has some of your instructors along the way taught you about Broadway? And now you're on stage doing Broadway. It's a completely different experience.
Yeah, yeah. So I was lucky enough to do about seven off Broadway productions when I was in New York. And at the time, I was studying with a really well-known acting coach. I don't want to call her a theater acting coach because she was just an acting coach, but some of the best training you'll ever get, and that's why most actors kind of start on stage and they start learning the craft and the history of acting from just theater people. It's just, that's my best advice for people. If they're really kind of dedicated to the craft of acting, is to like really in the beginning stages get into like a really good theater program. And you never know, that might be, your thing. It might end up being your thing. But um, wow, it's a really good question. What were some things that some coaches kind of told me back then? Well, for one, they told me that theater is very different than film and TV. It's very different than being in front of a camera, being behind the camera. But there are many similarities, though, to developing characters, being in the moment, just auditioning as well. I mean, there's clear differences when auditioning for film and TV versus auditioning for a stage production. But I feel like in essence, getting a character, breaking it down, making your choices, finding your relationships, I feel like all that's kind of derived from the same place. And those are some great tips that I got when I started theater versus, a few years down the road when I was just primarily doing acting classes for the camera, when I was on set, so you learn a lot of similarities in both kind of lanes of the craft in terms of character development and script analysis is another big one. But then you do, as you have more experience doing them both, I mean, there are very clear and distinct ways for auditioning for acting for the stage versus acting in front of the camera. So all these experiences, fast forward a little bit even more, all these experiences have helped me get behind the camera, and it has sharpened my eye to um, if I can tell now if somebody's being truthful or not. I can tell if there's a strong enough relationship that's been created between these two actors or whoever it is. So yeah, a lot of similarities, but then a lot of differences. But early on, theater stuff really, really showed me the distinct differences between them both.
And another thing people don't know about you is that you also have a master's degree in criminology. You attended Indiana University in PA also. So what was that experience like for you as well?
Yeah, that was great. Getting my master's was a goal of mine really since I was like 19 years old. Again, this is um, just being drilled in us since we were young. I mean, my mom and dad were never like, "Oh, you have to go get a bachelor's, you have to go get a master's." They just showed us from their experiences like you can have a different life because they unfortunately didn't really. My mom's highest degree was an associate's degree, and my dad only went to high school and then he became a mechanic, and he did very well as a body shop owner for a few years. But they were just showing us through their experiences like we can't. you've lived this enough. Like you've lived what it's been like to not necessarily have parents who have higher education. So if you want these things in life, that's not the only way to get them by going to college, but it'll make things a lot easier for you. So yeah, probably since like 18, 19, getting a master's one way or another at whatever point in my life was definitely a big goal of mine. So I was excited to do it back in 2017. I was 27 years old when I got it. I started it when I was 25. So, it's hanging up right here. The diploma's hanging up right here on my walls. I have them all kind of just looking at them every day because um, it just reminds me of the things that my mom and dad really taught us since we were kids, like and how that has really came to fruition. It's right up here, so it's a cool reminder.
Okay, okay. So speaking of a cool reminder and creativity, you have your own production company, 5R Productions. So tell us how this process for creating your own production company and all of it came to be.
Yeah, so 5R Productions is a production company that myself and my producing partner out in LA we came up with. The name derived from myself and my siblings. So I have from my mom and dad, there's five of us, and all of our names begin with R. So I figured it was such a unique thing that my mom thought of. My dad had no say in the names. Of course, my mom chose all the names, which fits 100% to her character. But it was just so interesting that she kept all of our names with the letter R. So I just figured when it came time for me to kind of step out on my own and start doing my own films, to highlight how unique that is. So that's where 5R Productions came from. But um, the light really went off for me back in 2017 when my producer partner reached out to me. He had written a short film script and he said to me, he's like, yeah, I want you to help me produce this. Like, I want you to help me do this. And I'm like, okay. I mean, this is the first time like anybody's asked me something on that level. Like, I've had people kind of ask me like, oh, can you come by on set and like help us out on set? But I've never really had somebody ask me, to help them out in the creative process of it. So he's like, yeah, I'll write you a role in it, and we'll be producers on it, and we got to put up some of our own money, but like we can ask other people for money, and we can start doing this and that. So getting involved in that short film, and then actually what really kind of changed the game for me was being on set that weekend because I went so many years being an actor, of auditioning, going on set, being told where to go, being told what to do. Um, Having producers or directors sign off on what you're doing to now being on set and being that person that everybody is coming to, being that person that people are asking a million and one questions to, being that person or that me and my producer partner, I think there's another couple other producers too, but the director, every time somebody would finish a take, somebody would finish a scene, he'd look over at us and like try and get our approval on it, and we would kind of sit back and talk with ourselves about it. So this just blew my mind in terms of just the whole creative process of making films. So from there, things just ballooned from there. I was just like, oh, okay, then we went into the editing process and I was having, some say in the editing of stuff, and we were changing around the trailer a little bit. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, let's add this in the trailer. Let's take that out. Let's add some music here. So and then seeing like your finished product come out, and then people were like, oh, this is dope, like this is good, like this is really like dramatic, like so again that just gave me the confidence that I could do this, that I'm good at this. Not only can I do this, but like I'm pretty freaking good at it. So yeah, from there, it just kind of ballooned into web series, TV movies, other short films, projects in development, talking with sales agents, talking with different festivals, all types of things. So I'm very happy with it.
And it's all been a success. Definitely, definitely, definitely. And speaking of success, I know it's been difficult for a lot of actors, directors, content creators out here in general with this ongoing pandemic. It's been crazy for all of us. Like we never expected this to happen. What has this taught you thus far to continue to keep going on in your acting?
It's just another lesson for people that this isn't an easy industry. If this were easy, everybody would be doing it. Sometimes I feel like everybody is trying to do it, but when you look at the broad landscape of it, like most people would never really get into the arts or creating something, making themselves vulnerable, putting themselves out there for criticism, for people to judge you, whatever. But the pandemic has just shown me like this is just another obstacle. Another hurdle to continuing to get things done. I mean, it's another lesson as well for me that this is a forever changing industry. Literally, it seems like every year there's a new change going on in the industry in terms of casting, what kinds of projects people are pushing through, what kinds of actors, need more representation, what kinds of people do we need more in the production side, on the studio sides of things. A few years ago, it became a huge issue out in LA when I was living out there because it used to be a lot of national commercials going on. It used to be a lot of national commercials and a lot of auditions and this and that. And then boom, everything changed to like non-union. And, SAG actors were like complaining left and right because they're like, every time, we look at a breakdown, every time we do this and we do that, it's non-union stuff. Like, what do we, work all of our lives for to join the union when all the commercials are going non-union? So anyway, COVID and shooting during COVID and trying to manage all this is just like another changing aspect to the industry. So you have to be very quick on your feet. You have to be able to adapt to things like really as they're happening. I mean, it's so many lanes to have to adapt in terms of being an actor, adapting in a business, and being a writer, a director, a content creator. Now we have things like TikTok. Now we have other things that are capturing audiences. So COVID is just another reminder to me that you've really got to be able to be quick on your feet. You got to be able to adjust. In terms of shooting content, creating content, you got to learn different ways to do it. And you have to be open to collaboration as well. That's a really big thing.
Absolutely, 100%. And I said this in my previous interview as well, is that is I hate that it took for this to happen for people to showcase their creativity and their talent and just for people to pull it out on the inside.
Right,
So many people have just become so creative throughout this entire thing, when it comes to filming projects and producing things.
right.
All right, fashion dolls, it is about that time. It is time for two games. We're going to do one called the Rapid Five, where Ronnel has to tell me five things he can't live without. And the next one, we're going to do something called Turn the Tables. And this is where my guests get to ask me questions unfiltered and uncensored. I have no idea what he's going to ask me. Nothing is off limits. So I'm kind of nervous. But
Uh,
let's get to the Rapid Five first.
okay.
Five things you can't live without.
Oh, five things I can't live without. A fan, because I like having air circulating around me at all times.
Mhm.
Um, Deodorant. Um, oh, good question. Five things. Mouthwash. Because it's not just, people, it's not just enough to brush your teeth. It is just as important to be mouthwashing. So that's number three. Number four, my siblings, it may sound cliche, but my siblings, my family. And then number five, some type of warm weather. I'm huge with on warm weather. I would prefer it to be warm every day, all day, but it is what it is. But if I never had warm weather like in my life, I would be such a depressed person. So those are definitely five things I couldn't live without.
All right, those are five fashion dolls, and I agree with the warm weather. It's been so cold lately, so hopefully next month it should warm up and we should get some more sunshine.
Right.
All right, fashion dolls, it is about that time to turn the tables, and I'm going to pass the torch on down to Ronnel, and he's going to ask me some questions. I don't know what he's going to ask me, but my heart is beating very, very fast. So y'all, please forgive me for my nerves, but take it away.
How long have you been a content creator?
I have been doing this since 16 years old. I started off very, very, very young, and to see how far I progressed now in 28 years of life is just amazing, you know.
That's
I'm
great.
so blessed to be here at this point.
Yeah, I mean, is your ultimate goal to like, have a talk show like The View or like Wendy or okay.
Yes, absolutely. I would love to have my own network just in general for all content creators, all Black content creators, whether they're film directors, producers, um, musicians. Everybody Black can be on this network. We already have one cable network that represents us, and that's BET. But I
Oh,
would like to do something else outside of that as well, too. Different.
yeah, yeah. How's your experience has been with BET? Because I know they were going through like some ownership changes and stuff.
Yes, definitely. It's completely different. It's not like how it used to be, but I would love to do something to kind of give people that nostalgic feel. Sort of like BET, but it'll be my version.
Right, right, right. Where are you from?
South Carolina, born and raised.
Oh, cool. Okay, okay. Let me see. Are you an actress? Have you been in anything, or is this kind of
I
like,
did. I actually, and I never really talk about it, but I posted the clip on my page. I did one horror film, so shout outs to Alex Jonte for giving me the amazing opportunity. Um, and this was during the time this thing even hit. It was actually last month, last year, 2021. We did a horror film called The Assistant to, and I played the role of Professor Fair, which was a little bit out of my element because I was teaching a class, and the class that I was teaching was ethics. So we had to talk about ethics and the shopping cart theory in this particular project. And you guys just have to see it. It's on YouTube. Jonte Productions, Jante Productions is on YouTube, or type in The Assistant to. And for this character, he wanted me to have short hair.
mm,
That was a problem for me because I said, when he said you got to have short hair for this role, because he didn't want me to look like any of the students. He wanted me to look like a college professor, and it was via Zoom. We taped it via Zoom, and I still nailed it. Went in without any acting experience whatsoever. When
wow,
we did the table read, I nailed the table read. I did everything he told me to do. But the funniest part is what happens behind the scenes when we're not rolling. And I'm pretty sure a lot of actors out there, you can relate to it. Something happens, someone messes up someone's lines or reads someone else's lines, things like that was happening behind the scenes. But I really, really enjoyed it. But I definitely have that clip on my page, so you guys will be able to check it out and see me on a different side, because I never really acted. I've always done hosting and speaking and things like that, but I've never done acting. No acting experience whatsoever.
wow. Okay, well, I guess kind of my final questions. What are like three major goals for you in 2022?
Three major goals for me in this year of 2022. I would love to have my own network. That is something that I'm working really, really hard on. Like, I want everybody that is doing something unapologetically Black content creators or not, film directors, producers, to have a place where they can go and showcase their projects.
Hmm.
Number two, I would love to do something in the realm of fashion, because everyone knows me mainly for that. And I would love to step out of my element and produce a clothing collection, a capsule collection for people out there, because I know it's been difficult for a lot of us, when it comes to shopping and going out in stores and things. You can do it right from your home. So I would love to do something to that extent. And number three, I would also love to do something with beauty, preferably either skincare or makeup, because ever since I was young, that was something that I always wanted to do. And another thing people don't know about me is that I went to beauty school. I'm licensed to do
Wow.
hair, nails, and things like that. So it all paid off in the end result. But here's another part people don't know about. It's a lot. I'm a mystery. Um, I failed my, what was it, the hands-on or the practical theory part, where you go and you actually have to take the test on paper.
Mhm.
I passed the practical part. There's practical and then there's theory. I think I'm getting it mixed up. But I passed the one where it was like you had to go in and take it on the computer. I failed that one. I'm getting it mixed up. Forgive me, y'all. But I failed that part and I had to go back. I remember crying all the way back to the career center where we was. And my friend, I remember her till this day, she still kind of does my hair. Shout outs to her, Ronnie. Um, just encouraging me, like, you can go back and do this. And at the time, it was 200 to go back and take that test. And my father was like, oh no, you're going back to take that test. So stop the crying, stop sulking up, and you're going to go back and take it. And I remember going back and passing it with flying colors.
Wow.
And the lady printing off my score right there, because they will give you like this blue piece of paper, because down here for South Carolina we have the blue piece of paper, and your picture, where they snap your picture with this little webcam thing, prints out. And she said, you passed. When she said I passed, I wanted to scream so loud. I said, can I scream? So I remember just holding my mouth, trying to go down the stairs. And as soon as I hit the parking lot, I came out and I screamed and I hugged my instructor, Miss Stevenson, and the other young lady who went back with me, who didn't pass hers as well. The opposite happened. She didn't
Mhm.
pass it again. So it was a crazy experience, but I'm happy to have had it. And I'll be going to my class sometime this month as well too. So it's
That's
been
great.
so great. The perks of beauty school. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And it seems like, those steps kind of led you down the road of hosting, or did the hosting come before?
The hosting kind of came before after I graduated high school, because my mom says after you graduate, you got to have a backup plan. Our parents always ask us, what are you going to do? Are you going to go to college? Are you going to work? What is going to be your backup plan? So doing Style by Stevie was just something that I randomly came up with, because I was still, again, in the field of beauty, where I was just giving people beauty tips. That's how I started off on this platform, was just giving people DIYs that I've learned and I've tried on myself. And then I said, you know what? I have friends and colleagues that are in the industry. Why not call them up on your platform and get them to come on your show and interview them? So that's kind of how Style by Stevie was formed then. And then as the seasons progressed, the looks started to change and things started to change. And now we have two co hosts that are male. I was actually going to go with women, it was all going to be all women. But I said, let's shake this show up a little bit, because I want men to feel like they're included as well too. And I would get so many responses from men saying, well, you can't talk about stuff like this. Why you always put down the men? Why you put down the brothers? I said, as for me as a woman, how can I speak from the male standpoint? So I said, you know what? Let me try to find someone who has our standpoints but at an equal stance. And I said, let's add some male co-hosts to the show. So I'm thankful to have Marco and Johnny, who will be coming back hopefully sometime this week. Marco will be back on the 12th.
Okay.
And it's just been an amazing experience. So everyone loves the dynamic of this platform.
That's great.
Yeah, and that's where it goes. So yeah, it's a lot that I people don't really know about me. Like I said, I'm a mystery, and I slowly but surely peel off layer by layer. So yeah,
Right, right.
but you get to ask as many questions as you want to, and then that's about it, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, yeah. I mean, so I guess my last question is, where do you see your company, where do you see your brand evolving to next?
I see myself somewhere near either NBC or ABC on platforms like that. But I'm
Okay,
still going to have to be under the radar, because certain things when we talk about for the black audience, that you know how they are when it pertains to things like that. So I said, you know what? I would like to see my show on an NBC or a ABC network, and breaking barriers for women of color, because there's very, very few black female talk show hosts that I know
right,
of. Like you've mentioned Wendy, you've mentioned The View, Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Halston, and then you have the ladies of the Real Daytime. I said, why
right.
aren't there hardly any women of color in daytime? You know, and if there are doing a talk show, they're doing it on another platform. They're doing something on another platform.
Hmm.
So, I mean, except for the news commentators that we see on CNN that are predominantly black, but I would love to see more women of color in daytime TV.
No, I agree totally. I don't watch the daytime stuff too often, but like, yeah, I rarely see outside of outside of the people that you just named. I rarely see black folks, honestly.
And we still have a lot of work to do when it pertains to that. I mean, I love, don't get me wrong, I love Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, but
Right,
it's just like I would love to see a black female doing it. And the only one that I can think of that was doing a late night talk show would have been Monique. She would have been the first. And then Queen Latifah had her show, and then Rolanda Watts and what's her name from the Cosby Show? Tempest, she had her show.
mm,
So I mean, there's hardly any black women that have a daytime television platform. that I
Right.
can think of. When I created Style by Steve, I said, let's do something similar to The View. Let's do something similar to The Real. Let's do something similar to, if you want to get political with it, The Young Turks. I wanted to do something like that so that a black audience can just be like, okay, she can be either the girl next door or she can be like the auntie, the mother, the sister, all of these things and more. I try to make it so that it's relatable to people and it's not boring because I know discussing certain things that go on in the world can have people just like I'm about to go to sleep. So I try to do it in a way where it's like fun,
Right.
hip, and light and not too heavy, sort of like an escape.
Cool. No, that's great. Well, I had an amazing time chatting with you today.
You too. It was such a pleasure having you here. Is there any final words that you would like to leave to anybody that is looking to get into the acting industry, that is looking to get into the business?
Yeah, I mean, I've been getting asked this question a little bit more, as people kind of see me doing more stuff and producing my own stuff. My best advice I would give people is to go into it for the right reasons. More than often, and I'm sure this can be applied, to people trying to be hosts, people trying to be singers, people trying to be rappers, and all types of things. Like people, they want the immediate validation. They want to get rich. They want to be popular. They want to be famous. They want to prove to somebody that they're good enough. And it's just really those to me, those just aren't the right reasons to get into anything that's such an art form, that's such a craft, that's so competitive. Like truly get into something, get into this. If it's like your burning desire to, like, whether I get paid one more dollar for the rest of my life being an actor, I could never like give it up and go do something else. Like it would just eat at me every day to like not be pursuing it and to not be, taking one step forward. So, um, I feel like if you go into it, again, whatever it is, if you go into it with the right intentions, all the other good stuff will happen. Um, but I just say that from experience, having known a bunch of people that came in and they got kind of chewed up and spit out, and now who knows what they're doing. So yeah, that's just kind of my best advice. If this Instagram live is on a replay somewhere or whatever it is, anybody watching it, just like take heed to that. Be an actor, be a filmmaker for the right reason. Don't be an actor or a filmmaker or a writer or producer to prove something to somebody. Prove it to yourself. Don't come into it for the popularity or the money. If you come into it for the right reasons, God willing, those things, those other great things will happen. So those are kind of my parting words for everybody watching.
Absolutely, 100%. Let everyone know where they can follow you so that they can check out your projects and any other upcoming things you have coming up.
Yeah, sure. So I have two websites right now. My personal website, which is ronnelrparham.com, Ronnel Parham. I spelled that out because so many people don't know how to spell my name, so I just rather do it for them like that. And then I have my production website, which is the number five, the letter R dash productions.com. So I try and keep those as up to date as possible. Instagram, I have my personal account at Ronnel's Gram 5, and then the other one is 5R Productions. So I try and stay pretty active on those. I try not to. I try and just post things as soon as they happen, and it's not to sound like pompous or anything, but like sometimes things happen really, really quickly. So um, it's just kind of better for me to just post it up there like really quickly as opposed to like waiting a week and a half, because then like I won't even post it the way that I want to. So like I try and post things with like a clear message or like a positive message for people. So yeah, Instagram and my websites are the best ways to just keep in touch and keep up to what I'm doing. Look me up on Facebook, 5R Productions, Ronnel Ricardo Parham. So And then yeah, I mean, you'll catch me on your film and TV screens as well. So you can keep up to me that way, but in a more in-depth kind of personal way. Yeah, check out my websites.
All right, fashion dolls, you heard it here first. Thank you so much, Ronnel, for coming to the dollhouse and gracing us with your presence. It was such a pleasure having you here, and I would
Yeah.
love to speak with you again in the future.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you so much for reaching out. Thank you so much for scheduling, coordinating this. Thank you so much for this platform and helping other, Black entrepreneurs and artists kind of do their thing. So thank you.
You are so welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, Ronnel Parham. Tomorrow joining us, we have actor and model Chris Wright. Shout outs to my co-host, Marco the Prince. Check out his podcast, which is This Is Hear Me Out. And we did an interview. So make sure you guys go and check that out as well, too. We love you all. Please be safe. And we will see you guys tomorrow on Thankful Thursday. And thank you, Ronnel. Take
Yeah,
care.
Happy New Year, everybody.